Welcome to the HerStory Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HerStory Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ivy Ngeow. I am an author in London. I was born and raised in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. Johor Bahru is a city of about 1.8 million, which is about 85% working class. I grew up never having seen an art gallery until I was 18 and left the country. I went to school in Malaysia, and I was brought up with my two brothers who were a lot younger than me. I was frustrated by the amount of books in our library and the fact that a lot of them were already vandalized or destroyed. I was fed up also with the endings of stories and the portrayal of girl and women characters. From childhood, I was entertaining my toddler brothers by writing stories for them or rewriting the stories that I didn't like the ending of. I was inventing stories and drawing pictures for them, but also for myself, because I felt that I had to create something new from something old, or simply something new. When I went to my later years, in high school in Singapore, I decided that I felt that I should go abroad. And I did my university years in Sydney, Australia, where I trained to be an architect. And these were my eye-opening years because I managed to do so much that I really enjoyed, which was reading and creating and drawing. When I graduated, I left Sydney to work in Singapore. I really miss the sort of bohemian lifestyle as a student in Sydney, where I did two other jobs, which was working as a sandwich hand in George Street in Sydney, and also in a care home in Potts Point, where I helped the chef or the cook make Sunday lunches for the elderly. And although it didn't occur to me at that time, these experiences really formed a part of my upbringing and my experiences to make my writing a richer and more authentic experience. When I was working in Singapore, I started becoming frustrated again, not this time by the lack of culture, but because I felt very trapped living in a cage and working in a corporate culture. And I found that I seemed to have lost that work-life balance again. I wasn't doing anything creative or enjoyable. I felt that I really needed an outlet. And the commercial and corporate life didn't feel natural to me. So I decided to leave my job and travel in Europe, where I did an architectural tour, since I had been and was working as an architect in Singapore, and I really wanted to enjoy European culture and learn all about the history and the music, and obviously design and architecture. I landed up in London, where I was trying to look for a job. But my first job was actually working in the NHS at St. Mary's Hospital in Paddington. And here's where I met people just like me. They were immigrants from all corners of the earth, from Kenya, Ghana, Philippines, Indonesia, China, Malaysia, Burma. They were just people from everywhere. And I realized that I wasn't alone. All these people are just like me. We have arrived in London to work. And interestingly, obviously working in a hospital is a very sterile and serious and intense environment. Again, this was not a place to be creative or artistic. So to balance out the intense, high-paced day job in healthcare, I decided to do an evening class every Thursday night at the City Lit in creative writing. I still very much felt the urge to tell stories and to write. I feel that stories are our universal currency. I want to tell stories and I want to hear them. So I had no choice but to join a community where my aim could be realized. I learned a lot from having feedback and critique because it had never happened before. It was my first time being in a writer's group. And I was trying to move from short stories to writing a novel. And I don't think that the evening class would have helped me do that because we had to read out short excerpts. So they were not part of any larger format writing. And after working for a few more years, I qualified as a fully registered architect in the UK. I decided to do an MA on the side, a master's in writing. So the urge always returned to me, even though I always wrote on the side and it was like something that I did alone and enjoyed doing alone. I thought that if I had a master's in writing, I would really focus on it again, just like the writing group, once a day or once a week, once a day and once a week, until you get to your word count milestone. And so at the university where I did my MA, which was Middlesex University, I surprised myself that I won the university's literary prize. So that gave me hope that maybe this is not all there is. Maybe this is the beginning, because Middlesex University actually helped me find my voice. When I moved to the UK, I always thought I'm supposed to be like Jane Austen, Charles Dickens. It's because it's English. I thought that this is what we are supposed to do. And I always been writing from a white person's viewpoint. Only after I had attended Middlesex University, which really champions diversity and culture, that I realized that maybe I have my own voice, and maybe it's not, an own voice of somebody else who is an ethnic minority, which I am, but it would be my own voice, that it's a mix of someone who has been struggling to belong, someone who belongs to many countries and many cultures, and that is a voice in itself. And I, slowly, since I only just found my voice, I had to develop the skill and my writing further in order to streamline my process, because writing was very much something that I wanted to do regularly and really enjoyed. So it was something that I wanted to refine and to improve, no matter what I was doing in my day job. I felt that they were running parallel. I was living in the parallel universe, and writing was my escape, obviously, from the work culture. I was very fortunate that to get a job that in architecture in the resort and hotel design industry, which allowed me to travel. And when I was traveling, I had a lot of downtime because I had no children then. And the downtime involved being in like airport lounges. And we all know we all know about flight delays, and we all know about being stuck in a hotel or being stuck in bad weather. And that's how I got a lot of writing done on my own when I was stuck.
Well, you certainly made use of that time and created something absolutely amazing. So, you wrote several books. Tell us the title of the books and why you focused on fiction instead of nonfiction.
Fiction is something that allows us to live beyond our imagination. It is an extension of ideas. I
Yeah.
enjoy fiction because it's going to bring us to another world, many worlds. And we don't have to go anywhere. We can be in our armchair and travel to different places and people and worlds that are created just for us.
Yeah.
So to me, fiction is like, it's like watching movies, or looking at art. We know it's not real, but for those few minutes or hours or days, they are real. So I
Mhm.
feel that that is something I prefer to indulge in. And secondly, it's the reason of creativity. I'm creating something new. It was a blank page before. So that appeals. That's aspect of fiction appeals to me.
That's beautiful. So, what was your experience navigating the publishing industry as a BIPOC writer?
I I have always felt that I should be writing for a universal audience, and I know that that is probably an error because there is no such audience.
Yeah.
We all have our own preferences. So I was writing for largely white readers at first. That's why my
Mhm.
characters were all white, and I felt
Right.
quite comfortable in that. And probably 20 or 30 years ago, that was okay because everybody
Mhm.
who was not white was writing from a white perspective. It was
Yes.
acceptable that most readers are white. If you look around you, or if you go into any bookshop, you only need to look around you to realize book buyers and book readers are white. So
Yeah.
I was surprised that my own voice kept coming out, and it was getting stronger, especially after I had done that the masters, where I was reading a lot of fiction about the diaspora, about slavery, uh, and I think because it opened my eyes, I realized that no, maybe this, I have my own Southeast Asian blend,
Yeah.
of a story that I want to tell. And I found that the publishing market extremely hard to break into as somebody
Mhm.
who is writing from an ethnic minority. And it's not them, it's because they are a business, so they need to find commercial voices. So my
Yes.
challenge has always been to make BIPOC fiction commercial, so that
Right.
yeah, the ordinary person on the street will understand and empathize with these characters.
That's just amazing. So, you went into a completely different world, something that you never would have guessed could take you this far. Why is representation in fiction so important to you?
Representation is important because we need to represent the world that we live in now,
Mhm.
because things have changed in the last 50 years. History has changed. We are putting ourselves into history. In
Yes.
50 years, somebody will look back at this time and understand the circumstances, the struggles, the challenges, and our little triumphs. So I feel that these should be brought forward, not just for our present readers, but readers of the future.
That's beautiful. That is just absolutely amazing. So, what unique challenges have you faced and overcome in your writing career?
The challenges that I faced were as an ethnic minority writing in English, because in back home in Malaysia we are trilingual, and I think even the bin man is at least bilingual, and everybody lives in a multicultural environment.
Mhm.
And we have our own racial issues, and obviously religious challenges. But I feel that if these came up in fiction, if these were issues, we could ask the what if story. I feel that these are the challenges that the writer has to attend to: the slang, the dialects, and I think most importantly today, the class, like writing about the working classes, writing about the middle classes. I grew up middle class, but in a completely working class city. So
Right.
I have a very deep understanding of the class divide and the struggles, poverty, the crime. And maybe that's what drew me to writing crime, to writing thrillers, because I feel that the unreasonableness and unfairness of the kind of societies that we live in, the multicultural societies, they cause these conflicts. This is
Yeah.
what affects normal people. And these conflicts are what makes them sit up, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the
That is
challenges.
so
And I think that
true.
the little triumphs would be being like winning prizes,
Mm-hmm.
getting published, and being recognized. I'm lucky now in my 50s to have found a publisher that wants to champion that voice, the minority voice, and feel that it's something unique that the
Yeah.
world could learn from.
That's just awesome. That is fantastic. Now, how do you balance writing with motherhood and other life responsibilities?
It's very, very hard to do that. I'm sure you know that. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like the craziest thing doing all of those. Most people
Juggling
do
so many
just one of
balls.
those. Yeah, most people just do one of those their whole life, but now I'm doing four of those. So I because I work full time, um
Mm-hmm.
my children are now in their teens, so I
Yeah.
do spend time with them every evening. I try to devote the evenings and weekends to be with them, because teenage is even more tough. People say it's going to get easier, but it's getting harder. Every year is
Yeah.
harder, because the bigger they are, the bigger the problems. They're not toddlers,
Yes.
they don't need their nappy changed.
They're
These
not
other
babies.
issues is school, is money, is all the other things. So the bigger the problems, the more I feel this need to carve out space and time. And
Right.
I can do that well now because I plan my novels and my writing. I plan what I'm going to write. I do not sit there at a blank screen or a blank piece of paper waiting. It won't come. Nothing will happen.
Inspiration to come.
So I think planning is important, and especially for all moms. I mean, you probably do it already. Like most moms probably plan everything, like point by point, what we're going to get
Yes.
through. So it's the same. It's like a task, and it's like a task, but it's creative. So it's like cooking, like cooking where you plan the ingredients, like what you're going to buy
Yeah.
first, what you're going to do, how will it turn out? Okay, the product might not be exactly what you are trying to do, but you did it, right? I think that
Yeah.
the important thing is getting that sense of production.
Yeah. That is just awesome. So, how do you use your platform to support other women writers of color?
I I'm on, you mean like social media platforms or?
The platform you're building as an author.
Okay, excellent question, because I think that
Mhm.
this will be of interest to all women authors out there.
Yeah.
I'm with groups. I'm with writing groups. I've also joined the East and Southeast Asian East SEA community in London. So I
Okay.
support them by reading their books, writing about their books, blogging about them, reviewing them. I support them by going to their events, and they would do the same for me. I think that when we find our people, we
Hmm.
we find our voice.
Okay. I love that. That is just awesome. So, what role does your cultural background play in your creative process?
Um, I grew up very frugal, very sensible,
Mm.
and my dad is Hakka, my mom is Hokkien. So my dad is from a nomadic community in China, the only nomadic community. So we have a sense of not being able to belong. They call the Hakkas the Jews of Asia, because we
Right.
have to move on. and we are not quite accepted in the more traditional or the aristocratic, the more classy, the
Yeah.
tribes. So
Okay.
from that, I think that brings its own conflict and in issues that I can write about, because
Mm.
my stories are all about cultural displacement and
Yeah.
finding identity. And because I feel that, okay, maybe I am slightly nomadic because I did live in Australia for 8 years or something, and and worked there, and I lived in Singapore, and I feel that I'm at home wherever I put my toothbrush down. I feel that is, I don't have this urge to be somewhere, that I feel that none of them are places that I belong to, but yet I belong to all of them. I could
Yeah.
very, happily be with you right now in Australia. I wouldn't feel out of place.
You're a citizen of the world, so to speak. I absolutely love it. So, what advice would you give to other aspiring BIPOC writers who want to tell their stories?
Firstly, to keep writing and reading, read 10 times, read 10 times what you want to write.
Yes.
I reading feeds us, is food for the brain. If you're not reading, you won't be able to have any stamina to or any ideas. So read, join groups like I did, like writers group or
Mhm.
ESEA community. I mean, obviously, when I join a writers group, it's mostly white, probably 100%, like 99.99% white.
Right.
But that's also a good thing, because you are going to get feedback. What do you present to the world? What are the ideas that you're presenting to the world?
Yes.
Who are the majority readers? So I feel that, there are pros and cons of, all kinds of groups and all kinds of, trying to write. uh
Right.
I find that carving out time helps. um I understanding your own culture, understanding yourself, because it takes a long time. I know it sounds obvious now to people, young people nowadays, but understanding
Yes.
yourself is probably the hardest thing, because if you don't know yourself well, it's going to be very hard to write about other people, because writing is about writing about other people, unless you're autobiographical, right?
True.
Characterizing,
That's so
because you need to
true.
understand character. What is character?
That is so, so true. Wow. So, how can readers and audiences best support diverse authors, do you think?
I feel that we get supported best when we get a voice for our platform. So if, like, doing this podcast, you are supporting me and I'm supporting you, and we are women. So I feel that once you are aware of who you are as an author, you will find the people who will support you. So
Yeah.
you know yourself first. They will come, they will support. Your own
Mm.
tribe will support you. They always say it takes a village.
Yes.
I didn't do this alone. I didn't write this alone. I wrote because people supported me or read my first story, or a teacher liked something that I did, or all these people have already played their part in
Mm-hmm.
my growing up, in my writing. So it's wrong to think that we are going to be doing this
Doing
alone,
this
any of it.
alone. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's not possible. So, what are the next upcoming projects that you have? Do you have another book in the works? What's coming up for you?
My upcoming book is In Safe Hands. It's coming out on Penguin on the 21st of October this year. So we'll be
Mm-hmm.
busy promoting it, as we have about 4 or 5 months to go before it comes out. And I'll be doing a tour as well of Southeast Asia and India, uh, where
Hey,
I have gained an audience, and I'm very excited to meet them and to meet the readers and to sign my books. So and then in after that, I will probably still work on another thriller I've just started planning.
that's wonderful. My last two questions for you are a bit of a thought experiment.
Okay.
One, I'm going to teleport you into the past.
Okay.
Go and meet the younger you, that young woman who knew she had something inside her that had to come out, had no idea where to start, how to do it. If you could go back and give yourself 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
If I could go back in time, I would probably say to myself to not be so terrified of criticism. I know that I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so sometimes I am too afraid to write even 1 word down, let alone 10, because I'm afraid that word is rubbish, and it's what's the point of writing anymore if it's not going to be of good quality? And now I realize that everything is not of good quality until you work on it. So I should just not be afraid. And number 2, I should be more like braver at tackling new ideas, because I feel that especially because of the architectural training, it's ingrained in me that you only do things which work well. Like, okay, can it stand up, can it be fitted, will it be waterproof, so you have to think of so many practical issues that the creative and artistic side often gets abandoned. So trying new things is rare for me. Even now, I wouldn't try to write in a horror genre or another genre which I am not comfortable with. But I think that in life we need to take some risk, especially if the risk is doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, and the third thing I would tell myself is to make more time to write, because it's more important than making more time to shop or making more time to do all this mundane stuff, or it's called making hay while the sun shines. I think that, it disappears. It's very fast. The ideas can disappear. It slips through our hands.
Yeah. There's a very famous author. I don't know if you know Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yes, of course.
She did a TED talk, and she references a author who used to have these poems that came through her. And if she didn't sit down fast enough to catch them and put it down on paper, it just dispenses and you lose that opportunity, right?
It's absolutely true. Seize the day, the carpe diem, seize the day.
Last question is futuristic. I'm going to teleport you into the future.
Oh, I'm scared.
And we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you. 90 years old. She's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children and her grandchildren. If I could teleport you into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I would say to the 90-year-old me, you've done really well. You always wanted to write since you were in primary school and saw Penguin books in your school library, and you wondered how it was done, and then you did it. Well done for trying, and well done for giving your family your best shot. And they are the ones who are going to be there with me when I'm 90.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with us today. It always excites me when I find these rare gems, creative women who are putting themselves out there and leading the way. We need to see more examples of what's possible. Thank you for your work.
Thank you so much for inspiring us, Gertrude. I love your podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are an author who is sitting with a story, holding back, who would read my book? I don't know how to do it. Reach out to me, reach out to Ivy. There's mentors, there's coaches out there that can handhold you and make it easy. Don't go to your grave with your story. So tune in again tomorrow, everybody, when I interview yet another amazing guest. And Ivy, keep going. Let's keep in touch.
Let's keep in touch. So excited.
Have a fantastic day, everybody. We have a comment coming in from LinkedIn. Jewel, thank you for tuning in. She's saying it's a great insight. So you see, the inspiration is starting already, Ivy. Just us sharing these stories is absolutely crucial. I'll be back tomorrow, everybody. Have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Ivy, don't go away. Thank you for tuning into the HerStory Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the HerStory Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story. Thank you so much.